in Stoic Men Tribe. Today we're tapping into a powerful truth, a moment of inner strength, sharp clarity and timeless wisdom. Don't skip any part of this video, share your thoughts in the comment. Please do us a favor by hitting the subscribe button, like, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Let's break it down. The less you react, the more power you hold. There is a kind of strength this world rarely celebrates. A power not found in fists or loud voices, not in domination or display. It's quiet, it's calm, it's steady, and it lives in the space between what happens to you and how you choose to respond. It's the strength of not reacting. See, we're raised in a world that glorifies immediacy. Quick replies, sharp comebacks, instant outrage. We're taught that silence is weakness, that stillness is surrender, that if you don't defend yourself at every turn, you'll be taken advantage of. But that's not strength. That's insecurity in disguise. True power, real, grounded, lasting power, doesn't flinch. It doesn't need to correct every insult. It doesn't rise for every battle. It doesn't move just because someone's trying to provoke a reaction. Because when you're solid within yourself, you don't get pulled into petty storms. You don't need to scream to be heard. You don't have to perform for people who misunderstand you. Your peace becomes your proof. Your calm becomes your clarity. Your silence becomes your strength. And the world won't understand that. Because most people are ruled by emotion, not reflection. They're addicted to noise, to reaction, to drama. They thrive on friction, on back and forths, on the illusion of control through chaos. So when you choose not to engage, not to explain, not to take the bait, you disrupt their entire reality. You become the mirror they didn't ask for, and that unsettles them. They'll call you cold. They'll call you arrogant. They'll say you're weak, passive, detached. Let them. Let them say what they want. Let them build entire narratives in your absence, because you finally understood you don't owe anyone your energy. You see, not reacting isn't the same as not caring. It's caring intentionally. It's understanding that your time, your peace, your inner world is sacred. And not everyone deserves access to it. Because the more you evolve, the more you begin to see how much energy is wasted in proving yourself. How much power is lost in pointless debates. How many hours are stolen by people who were never ready to hear you? Tolihun. They only wanted to trigger you. You begin to realize that some people don't want clarity. They want conflict. They're not seeking truth. They're seeking control. And your reaction is their currency. But when you stop giving it, they lose their grip. You become immovable, not cold, contained, not detached, disciplined, not passive, wise. And this doesn't mean you let people walk over you. It doesn't mean you become numb or disengaged. It means you choose your battles. You protect your peace like a crown. You conserve your fire for what truly matters. Because anyone can lash out. Anyone can argue. Anyone can throw words like weapons. But it takes real strength to rise above the noise. To look chaos in the eye and say, I will not be moved. You start to understand that reaction is a trap. That people who can control your emotions control you. And you start pulling that power back. Bit by bit. Choice by choice. You breathe instead of explode. You pause instead of panic. You reflect instead of retaliate. And with every act of restraint, you grow stronger, quieter, clearer. And eventually you stop being available for chaos. You stop needing to win every conversation. You stop bleeding energy into spaces that don't deserve your light. You just walk away. Not in defeat, but in dominion. Not because you couldn't fight, but because you finally realized you don't need to. That's strength. That's growth. That's peace. So if they say you've changed, let them. If they say you've gone silent, good. If they say you're too calm now, smile. Because that means you're healing. That means you've leveled up. that means your silence is louder than their noise. And that is what it means to be powerful in a world that thrives on reaction. The less you react, the stronger you become. Not because you're closed, but because you're finally in control of what you allow to enter your mind, your heart, and your soul. There's a moment, subtle but life-changing, when you begin to realize that not every situation deserves your reaction. Not every opinion deserves your correction. Not every provocation deserves your fire. You begin to see that every time you react emotionally, you're not just expressing yourself. You're handing over something far more valuable. You're surrendering your peace. You're giving someone else access to your internal world. And the truth is, not everyone has earned that kind of access. See, emotional reactivity is often mistaken for strength. People think if you clap back, shout louder, prove your point, you've won. But that's not winning. That's leaking energy. That's letting someone else pull the strings of your nervous system. That's playing defense in a game you never asked to join. But when you pause instead of react, when you hold your ground in silence, when you choose observation over outrage, that's power. That's maturity. That's control. Because restraint isn't weakness. It's wisdom wrapped in self-respect. It's knowing your energy is a currency. And you've stopped making cheap transactions. Think about it. Every time you react without pause, you're responding from a wound, not from wisdom. You're reacting from emotion, not intention. You're letting the outside world determine your inner state. And when you do that over and over again, you lose track of who's really in control, you or the chaos around you. But when you become aware, when you slow down long enough to ask yourself, why am I reacting this way? You step into a whole new level of self-command. You start noticing the difference between reaction and response. Reaction is fast. It's defensive. It's raw. It's ego trying to stay relevant. It's fear trying to feel safe. It's insecurity trying to look powerful. But response? Response is slow. It's grounded. It's rooted in clarity. It's born from emotional maturity, not emotional urgency. And when you learn the art of response, you become untouchable in the best way. Not because you're disconnected, but because you're no longer a puppet to external chaos. You become deliberate. You become calm. You become centered in a way that unsettles the storm. People will try to provoke you. That's a guarantee. They'll test your patience. They'll try to drag you into their noise, their fear, their pain. But you'll begin to see it for what it is. Projection. Because most people aren't speaking from presence. They're speaking from pain, from patterns, from stories they've never healed from. And your silence in the face of that isn't passivity. It's protection. It's choosing peace over proving. It's choosing your growth over their chaos. You have to ask yourself often, am I reacting out of ego or responding from alignment? Am I defending a version of myself I no longer need to be, or standing in who I've become? Because growth is quiet, healing is silent, and strength often looks like not responding at all. You start to realize that most arguments are invitations to places you've outgrown, and most of the people who try to provoke you aren't seeking truth. They're seeking validation for their pain. So don't take the bait. Let them stay loud. Let them try to be right. Let them project. You'd say, stay grounded, stay focused, stay rooted in your own peace. Because the less you react, the clearer your thoughts become. The more space you create between trigger and response, the more power you take back. You start seeing patterns instead of personal attacks. You start seeing lessons instead of losses. You start choosing peace over performance. And that's emotional intelligence. That's spiritual weight. That's the kind of strength that can't be faked, bought, or borrowed. So no, this isn't about staying quiet to please others. It's about staying silent to preserve yourself. It's not about avoiding conflict. It's about not creating unnecessary ones. It's not about suppression. It's about discernment. Because wisdom doesn't rush. Wisdom watches. Wisdom waits, and when the moment calls for it, wisdom speaks with precision, not noise. You learn that your energy is sacred, that not everyone deserves your attention, that not every situation is worth your fire, and that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is not respond at all, because in your silence lives your sovereignty, in your stillness lives your strength, and in your non-reaction lives a version of you that no longer needs to be seen, only respected. They will try to bait you. Stay still. There will always be those who try to pull you out of your peace. People who thrive on drama, who survive by stirring the pot, who carry conflict like oxygen. Because chaos is the only language they know. They will bait you. With their words, their tone, their accusations, with whispers disguised as concern, with stories soaked in half-truths and projections. They'll twist your silence into guilt, your boundaries into arrogance, your calm into coldness. Let them talk, let them assume, let them misunderstand. You're not here to correct every narrative that was never meant to be accurate. You're not here to defend your name to people who only remember you when they need someone to blame. Because real strength doesn't announce itself. It doesn't scream for attention or approval. It doesn't crumble in the face of misinterpretation. The strongest one in the room isn't the loudest. It's the one who sees the fire being lit and refuses to pour gasoline on it. It's the one who knows that silence isn't weakness. It's a form of wisdom. It's a declaration. You don't have access to my peace. You don't rise by clapping back. You rise by not needing to. You rise by staying rooted, even when provoked, by standing still while others spin, by knowing that your growth is not a weapon, and it doesn't need to be defended. It needs to be protected. And when you begin to protect it, that stillness you've earned, that clarity you fought for, that inner sanctuary that didn't come cheap, you step into a new kind of strength, the kind where you can feel the chaos swirl, the mastery of stillness. Why the less you react, the stronger you become. There's a discipline few ever master. It's not loud. It doesn't seek the spotlight. You won't find it trending or being glorified in shallow conversations. But it's there. Powerful, grounded, and deeply rooted in those who've been tested by life and learned this truth. Self-control is not weakness. It is wisdom dressed in silence. It's the wisdom that knows energy is sacred, that your presence is expensive, that your attention is a currency, and not everyone is wealthy enough to afford it. So you stop giving it away carelessly. You stop spending your mental wealth on meaningless arguments, on people addicted to reaction, on situations designed to drain, not build. Because when you fought too hard for your peace, you begin to protect it like treasure. You don't explain yourself to people committed to misunderstanding. You don't chase closure from those who feed on confusion. You don't waste breath on proving anything to those who've already decided who you are. You become deliberate, not cold, not numb, not indifferent, but intentional. Intentional with your words, intentional with your silence, intentional with your exits, your boundaries, your grace. That's what self-mastery looks like. It's choosing calm in the face of provocation. It's choosing to pause when your old self would have erupted. It's choosing presence over pettiness, dignity over drama, peace over proving. Because make no mistake, people will test you. They'll push every button. They'll twist your words. They'll poke at the very wounds you worked years to heal. Not because you're weak, but because your peace disrupts their chaos. Your detachment threatens their control. Your growth exposes their stagnancy. But the evolved version of you doesn't react. You observe. You breathe. You wait. And then you choose. Not today. Not my energy. Not my peace. Because every time you don't engage with nonsense, you level up. Every time you choose your response instead of surrendering to impulse, you reclaim your power. You stop being baited. You stop being predictable. You stop being easy to provoke. You become untouchable. you become unfazed. You become a quiet storm, calm on the outside, unshakable at the core. And that is what real strength looks like. It's not in how loudly you defend yourself. It's not in how passionately you argue. It's not in how quickly you clap back. It's in your restraint. It's in the smile you give when they expected you to crumble. It's in the silence that says, I see you, but I will not shrink for you. Because you've seen what it costs to lose your composure. You've felt the regret of reaction. You've tasted the emptiness of proving your worth to those who were never ready to receive you. Now, you rise, not above them, but above the need to respond. You move differently. Not because you're better, but because you're clearer now. Clearer about what matters. Clearer about what deserves your fire, and what only deserves your forgiveness from afar. So let them wonder why you didn't respond. Let them talk to the silence. Let them stay confused, because your calm is no longer negotiable. You've become someone who doesn't flinch, doesn't beg, doesn't break. Not because you don't feel, but because you've learned how to feel deeply without being ruled by what moves through you. You've learned how to rise without noise, how to walk away without bitterness, how to grow without explanation. And in that stillness, you've become a force. So remember this. The less you react, the stronger you become. Not because you've shut down, but because you've opened up to a truth that most people never reach. Real power is quiet. Real growth is unshaken. And real peace? That's the loudest thing in the room. Because self-control isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It's knowing that your energy is expensive. And you won't spend it on anything that doesn't grow you. So stop giving people the power to pull you out of character. Stop handing over your peace to anyone who knows how to trigger you. Every time you choose calm over chaos, every time you choose silence over reaction, you level up. You become untouchable. You become unfazed. You become a force. And that is what real strength looks like. So remember this. The less you react, the stronger you become. Not because you don't feel, but because you've learned when to speak, when to move, and when to simply rise above. If this resonates with you, share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update.